The last JoJoLands chapter ended declaring that the next issue would be plunging into a new arc. So this quite simply begs the question, what happens next? Well, let's look back at a few things and see if we can predict what's going to happen. So despite JoJo and Co now having a deed to Hager's land costing about 50 billion, I think this is just the beginning of JoJo becoming filthy rich. Quite simply, the next arc will delve into the next part of that scheme. The gang will have split the deed of the land with Mel May, with each of them getting 4% of the cut, which is around 2 billion. At first glance, it would seem that JoJo's goals have been achieved, but remember, 1. The mechanism is not just purely about money, but it's also about how power and influence is transferred. While you could have a lot of money, you might lack the power and knowledge to navigate how to use that money, let alone who that money will lead you to interact with. Maybe JoJo will run into whoever the president is who called for Howler's arrest. Also remember that in universe, these group of teenagers and Mel May went from having nothing to their name to having pretty much billions. While I think that the wider world will be none of the wiser of their riches, I feel that there would be someone who will at least take notice of this sudden shift of power and look into it. Maybe it's either someone from the criminal underworld, or maybe, dare I say, it will be the IRS. And lastly, chapter 1 specifically states that JoJoLands is a story about how one boy, JoJo Joestar, became filthy rich, clearly telling us that JoJo will be the sole person within this group to come out on top in the end. Chapter 8 only goes on to reinforce this, as there's a panel which has Dragona pocket the now destroyed lava rock before going into the watch store, and this text is repeated in the next panel with a menacing close-up of JoJo's face. What this could mean is that within the next arc, we could start to see some tension amongst the group. Perhaps someone gets greedy and wants more, alongside JoJo, heeding Rohan's warning from earlier that there's someone within the group who's going to betray him, becomes a bit more paranoid and wary about who this traitor might be. Whoever it is will most likely get more clues as to who this traitor might be. In my opinion, it might very well be Paco, as he's the one I medium expect. Speaking of antagonists, I think while still being the overall main villain to the narrative, Hacker Howler might take a backseat in this arc. He's lost his land, lost his immediate allies that could help him, and is probably wanted by the US government for manufacturing weapons on his formerly owned land. While I don't think he'll be completely absent, I think at this point in the story, he will branch away from JoJo and company and focus more on himself and his own challenges, like how he will evade the law and react to everything that has happened here. Not only that, but I think the previous few chapters have given us a goal for Howler, and that would be to obtain a new lava rock. The previous chapters clearly established how these lava rocks were made, and that this has only happened once before in the entirety of the Howler family. If Howler wants to make a comeback, he'll need a new lava rock to do so, especially since the one currently in possession with the JoJoLands gang has deteriorated. Heck, maybe Howler does end up getting caught by the feds and is taken to prison. Maybe he has his own mini Stone Ocean prison arc and recruits new inmate allies from there to help him not only escape, but obtain a new lava rock. If something like this is the case, then that would mean that JoJo and Co will need a new antagonist to go up against. And while this could be a whole new character or group, i.e. maybe a criminal enterprise or another governmental group still banking on the IRS, I think that the next antagonist is someone we've already met, and that person is Mel May. If JoJo wants to climb up to the apex of society and truly understand the mechanism, I feel like Mel May is the perfect antagonist to go up against. Not only has she used and exploited JoJo and Dragona to push drugs in the city, no matter their feelings on the matter, but especially with what's gone on in these last 32 chapters, they've done all the heavy lifting and she gets the majority of the cut. I think that JoJo especially will feel like they have grown beyond her and will find an excuse to dispose of her to move upwards, or maybe Mel May has a plan to dispose of the group to keep the money for herself, which the gang catches wind of and then dispose of her before she can dispose of them. I think with this we'll probably see Mel May show her stand if she has one, although it would be cool if she doesn't have one, but the ability to keep a gang of stand users in check, or we'll see the gang go up against another group of stand users who work for May. Maybe this is the trio we saw in the first chapter of JoJoLands who were also present on the JoJoLands teaser poster. Heck, maybe even Dr. Robert is also a stand user. Finally, we're also left with two characters who are at least maybe former associates of Howler, that being Lulu and Key West, who, judging by JoJo taking her with them on the boat, is at least hanging on to life. I don't have much to say about either, but I do just want to put it out there. I think that Lulu's arc will probably involve her trying to track down Howler to get the truth from him about her parentage, and with Key West I think she'll at least be in intensive care at the beginning, but eventually become their unwilling lawyer, giving them a similar relationship that Walter White and Jesse have with Saul Goodman in Breaking Bad. So that's all my predictions within the next arc of JoJolion. If you have any predictions that I didn't mention, be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you next time.